The intro is normally where I have some attention gaining line that I like to use in order to draw you in. However, I'm just going to let you look at this damage that the Blasphemous Blade is doing against all of these bosses. It's absolutely unreal. Today's video is sponsored by AOEA.com. Make sure to check them out and use code Rivtekk for 3% off at checkout. What is dead may never die, and that holds true for the Blasphemous Blade. Regardless of how many times From Software has tried to nerf this weapon, it still remains S tier. This is my personal favorite weapon in the game. I've used it in multiple playthroughs, and even though I enjoy a lot of the DLC weapons, I keep coming back to this one, and I'm going to show you how to make it even stronger. Breaking down this build, we start with the Blasphemous Blade plus 10. We're going to be focusing on using the weapon skill Taker's Flame. For our left-handed armament, our seal, we're going to be using the Erdtree seal plus 10, which has an S scaling for faith. Our armor set, we're going to be using the Rakshasa armor. Something to note is that the Rakshasa armor set has very poor damage negation, so you will take a lot of damage. It's a high risk, high reward set for the damage buff that it provides. If you're a player who's not very evasive or your vigor stats are low, I highly recommend shifting to another armor with better damage negation. Next, we will use the Fire Scorpion Charm. This will give us a 12% fire damage increase. The Godfrey Icon will give us a 15% attack boost for skills. Same thing with the Shard of Alexander, a 15% attack increase with skills. And the Talisman of the Dread, which will grant another 15% damage increase. For the Flask of Wondrous Physick, we're going to go with the Oil Soaked tier and the Flame Shrouding Crack tier. The Flame Shrouding Crack tier grants 20% additional damage to fire attacks. The Oil Soaked tier, what we're going to do is we're going to get close to our enemy, put the oil on them, and it's going to grant another 20%. So you're looking at a 40% damage increase. These are my character stats. I'm rune leveled 225. I'm on a New Game Plus character. These stats will obviously be different based on your character level. Our baseline vigor stat is always 60, especially with the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Our primary stat we're going to scale into is Faith. Then next, you can either do Strength or Dexterity. I chose Dexterity so I could also use the Euphoria weapon, which I also have another video on. If you want to check that one out, I will leave a card for it. The next two stats that you should focus on are Mind and Endurance. Make Mind your priority as Taker's Flame uses 30 FP every attack. Depending on whether you chose Strength or Dexterity, you can use the additional points from the one that you didn't choose to put them into Mind. Arcane and Intelligence don't affect this build. So the strategy going into boss fights is you're going to start with your Incantations. For us, it's going to be Flame Grant Me Strength and the Golden Vow. Next, you'll use your Wondrous Physick. Upon entering the arena, if it allows for it, use Taker's Flame right away. Next, you're going to want the enemy to get close so that you can apply the oil to them, and then once you apply the oil, you can see the massive increase in damage. If you take a hit, don't worry because you're just going to make up the HP every time you land Taker's Flame, as you can see right there. Overall, you're looking at a 150 to 200% increase in damage. The build is so strong that it works against enemies like Mesmer, who doesn't even have a weakness to fire. One downside to Taker's Flame is that it is a little bit slow to use, so you're going to have to really time your attacks in between enemy attack patterns. Even after all of the nerfs that the Blasphemous Blade received prior to the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, it remains very viable to use in late game, New Game Plus, and the DLC. There's several other talismans that you can use, such as the Two-Handed Swords Talisman and the Carrion Filigreed Crest. The Two-Handed Sword Talisman obviously makes two-handed attacks stronger, and the Crest will lower the amount of FP that you use in an attack. We're going for maximum damage output, so that's why I did not choose the Crest for this one. Let me know in the comments what you would add to this build in order to improve it. It could be anything to include a left-handed armament, a different talisman, or a tier to use in a Wondrous Physick. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you found it helpful, entertaining, or informative, make sure to hit that like button. And if you enjoy Elden Ring and other Souls-like content, make sure to hit the subscribe button. It's the best way to support this channel, and it's absolutely free to do. I hope you guys enjoyed this build, and I hope to see you in the next one. I've been Rivtekk. Thanks for watching.